Good morning, y'all. It is Tuesday, September 23rd. You haven't seen me because I've been through a pretty rotten divorce, and the old highs and lows and the emotional train wreck that it causes. I felt like I needed to step back, and I felt like I needed to take some time because what I was going through, I didn't need to speak to anyone while at an emotional high, while upset or stirred up. I hope you understand that. But now let me tell you, through the process, I have definitely seen God. My faith is stronger, not less. As the stories are told about how God came out, showed up and showed out, it's unreal in this situation. But I want to tell you what brought me back. I was going to come back to reading Jesus Calling and talking about my life experiences. No doubt, I never had any inkling of doing anything different. But let me tell you about yesterday. Yesterday morning I got up. Now over the weekend was the exchange of property and the divorce, and I mean it's over. Came through my hometown, past my whole place, and the last load of stuff was leaving there like a repo man hurrying up to the sale. I mean it's just horrible. Didn't work for it. Don't care about it. Just trying to cash it out. Okay. Going into town, I find out one of my dad's best friends has passed away, and they're about to have the funeral. So I just went straight to the funeral. Now, me and this man will cross, but somebody needed to represent my family. Get done with that, come back to the pickup, open my phone. Now, this is how the entire divorce situation was with me. Now, have you heard? The stuff's leaving my house. Funeral. Get back to my phone. When I answer my messages, there's a boy that worked for me named Eric Rugg. Let me tell you about Eric Rugg. Eric Rugg showed up out of nowhere like they do from Colorado. He had tattoos all over him. And he was bad drinking. Heck, I was still drinking when he showed up, but he was bad drinking. I'm telling you, he was drinking more than I was, and he was maybe weighed 125 pounds. But through the process, Eric got sober, and he stayed there in a travel trailer at my barn, tended to the barn for me. I took good care of him. You know, he ate a mini steak out of my freezer. I always kept him paid, kept him some money, took care of him. And Eric was the type that if he ever touched alcohol, he got real manipulative. And I don't blame Eric. I blame the drug. Of course, if you know me, you know I'm pretty hard on people that take that conscious choice. But last year we got kind of the inkling by his behavior that maybe Eric was drinking again, and we investigated into it. And of course, one of the first things that demon does is he'll lie to you, and he lied to us. What Eric had done was he knew the most intimate details of what all I was doing in my business. I mean, he was my go-to guy. I called Eric if I needed something. He wasn't the boss, but Eric was the administrator. And he was almost at times my personal assistant. Well, he got back to drinking and then got pretty undependable, and we finally figured out why. As my divorce progressed, one morning about 4:30, about this time, out of the blue, he just disappears. Blames it on my foreman, sends me a text and says, I'm quitting, leaving, just been with me 2.5, 3 years. I'm quitting, gotta go. And I didn't equate the two, that the divorce proceedings were coming up and him leaving. Well, when I get to the divorce proceedings, I find out exactly. At the mediation, I found out exactly what went on. Either he got mad at me while he was drinking, or something upset him, and he decided he was going to get me back, and he got with the ex, or she convinced him to start giving her information. But he fed her information about where I was, what I was doing, what I had purchased, if I was protecting any assets, he was feeding her information. Basically, turncoat son of a buck. And I know what you're saying. You bet I was hot too. I was ready to pinch his head off. But that's the reason he ran off. That's the reason he left, because he had been feeding her information, and I don't know what end he saw to it. But let me tell you the end that he found. Night before last, he drank himself to death. And as mad as I want to be at him, I feel really, really low because of it. I'll tell you why. I didn't do it. In fact, if nothing else, I tried harder to keep that boy sober and help him have a good life than anybody. But it's as if that ex of mine got him to help her, used him up, and threw him away. And folks, that is what the devil will do to you. But I realized after all these words and all of these things happened yesterday that the one thing I had to do is I had to forgive. I had to forgive my ex. I had to forgive that old man that passed away. I had to forgive Eric. And I got to walk away from that crap. I got to quit harboring that crap. And you want to know why I'm back with you for Jesus Calling this morning? Listen to this. For September 23rd, walk with me in the freedom of forgiveness. The path we follow together is sometimes steep and slippery. If you carry a burden of guilt on your back, you're more likely to stumble and fall. At your request, I will remove the heavy load from you and bury it at the foot of the cross. When I unburden you, you are undeniably free. Stand up straight and tall in my presence so that no one can place more burdens on your back. Look into my face and feel the warmth of my love light shining upon you. It is unconditional love that frees you from both fears and sins. Spend time basking in the light of my presence. As you come to know me more and more intimately, you grow increasingly free. Psalm 68:19, 1 John 7 through 9, 1 John 1, 7 through 9, and 1 John 4:18, the scripture. That's what told me it was time to come back and try to help people with what I've learned. Folks, I was quite content to go through life with a chip on my shoulder over all I've been through in the last 11 months. I ain't gonna do it. I was particularly hurt at what Eric did. I mean, divorces are nasty. I mean, I am now away from a nasty person, believe me. But I never expected him to do what he did, and I certainly never expected him to go down a dark path and pay for it with his life and be used up by a woman that does nothing but use people. So I took it and I read Genesis 50:20, which is basically what you meant for evil, God took it and made it for good. For Tuesday, September 23rd, I know this is long. Thank you for bearing with me. But it was a story I felt needed to be told. Remember, you may be the only Bible a person ever reads, so act accordingly and forgive. Y'all have a great day.